Breaking Rick Harrison's courtroom shocker. An adopted daughter revealed in a stunning twist that no one in the courtroom could have predicted. The Rick Harrison trial for smuggling and money laundering exploded into chaos when the 27th witness, a young woman unknown to the public, took the stand and dropped a bombshell. "I am his adopted daughter." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. But the real devastation came seconds later when she uttered just 5 chilling words. "They took turns on me." Those 5 words shattered not only the prosecution's original narrative, but the entire carefully crafted public image Rick Harrison had maintained for over a decade. Suddenly, what was once viewed as a high-profile financial case spiraled into something far darker. Allegations of systematic abuse, manipulation, and concealed trauma hidden behind the glitz of reality television. Instantly, reporters dropped their pens, attorneys demanded recesses, and the nation, glued to livestream updates, realized that this trial was no longer about smuggled artifacts. It was about a hidden life, a buried truth, and a legacy about to unravel. With that one statement, Rick Harrison's entire empire of nostalgia, Americana, and trust was thrust into the searing spotlight of criminal investigation, with no place left to hide. America's favorite TV dad, exposed behind-the-scenes Rick Harrison, long celebrated as America's lovable, witty pawn shop owner, had spent years building an unbreakable brand, a brand grounded in family values, blue-collar wisdom, and charming authenticity. Every episode of Pawn Stars reinforced that image. Rick smiling warmly, teaching lessons, protecting his son Corey, preserving his father's legacy. But as prosecutors peeled back the glossy surface, it became clear that Rick wasn't just crafting a TV show. He was curating a narrative so meticulously that no journalist, no producer, no co-star dared question it. Every magazine interview was vetted. Every episode edit was approved. Every public appearance was calibrated to reinforce the image of a wholesome, all-American family business. Missing from that perfect portrait, any mention of a daughter. No photos, no anecdotes, no acknowledgement. Today, we know that omission was no accident. It was the foundation of a sinister cover-up, one designed to shield a horrifying secret from public view, while millions of trusting viewers unknowingly cheered him on. Rick Harrison's legacy wasn't just scripted, it was weaponized to protect a reality far darker than anyone had dared imagine. The girl America never knew, and the life she was forced to live buried under Rick Harrison's public image, was a child who the world never saw. A little girl taken from the foster care system, brought into a life that from the outside seemed like a dream, but inside was a fortress of control, isolation, and fear. At just 10 years old, she entered Rick's lavish Las Vegas mansion, after being fast-tracked through a suspiciously swift adoption process, bypassing the usual legal hurdles because of Rick's celebrity status. At first, there were luxuries, her own room, hot meals, new clothes, but very quickly, the walls closed in. She was forbidden from leaving her room after 8 p.m., no phone, no friends, no internet. Surveillance cameras were installed throughout the home. Tutors were rotated constantly to prevent attachment. Every move, every word was monitored. Slowly, affection turned into coercion. Innocent back rubs morphed into boundary-crossing behavior disguised as special treatment. Rick's manipulative whispers, "No one would understand. You're lucky to have me," became psychological chains. She wasn't living in a family. She was living in a prison, and no one outside the Harrison home ever saw the bars. Isolation, fear, and the chilling control tactics used against her. The testimony revealed that Rick and Corey Harrison didn't use brute force to maintain their sick regime. They used something far more insidious: psychological warfare. She was isolated from the outside world, taught that any disobedience would result in being thrown back into foster care, a fate that terrified her more than the nightly horror she endured. Rick and Corey enforced their dominance with chilling precision. Nightly family affection lessons, surveillance disguised as safety measures,
and constant gaslighting that blurred the lines between love and abuse. If she cried, she was shamed. If she resisted, she was threatened. Even the household staff, who suspected something was wrong, remained silent, terrified of legal retaliation from the powerful Harrison brand. The girl wasn't just trapped physically, she was trapped mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Every time she dared question her reality, Rick was there to remind her, no one will ever love you like we do, and no one will believe you anyway. With her entire sense of worth and safety weaponized against her, escape seemed not only impossible, but unthinkable. A silent rebellion, gathering the evidence that could topple an empire. Despite living in a fortress of control, the young woman, even as a teenager, found a way to resist. Quietly, secretly, and methodically. She documented everything: handwritten diaries, hidden behind loose floorboards, secret voice recordings, disguised in teddy bears, memory cards, stashed in air vents. She collected timestamps, saved audio, recorded whispered threats. Every tutor who looked away, every night she heard the lock click behind her door, every moment Rick and Corey's cruelty surfaced, was preserved, not just in her memory, but in irrefutable digital and physical evidence. She didn't know when or how, but she knew someday she would need to prove what she endured. Her survival wasn't just about staying alive, it was about staying ready. She lived not just in fear, but in fierce, calculated hope that one day, the truth would escape, even if she could not. And when she finally walked into that courtroom, armed with a hard drive and diaries in hand, she wasn't just a survivor, she was the ticking time bomb Rick Harrison never saw coming. Courtroom bombshell, digital files, secret diaries, and the end of the Harrison myth. What followed her testimony was a legal spectacle, unlike anything seen in recent American celebrity trials. Prosecutors unveiled hundreds of files pulled from her hard drive, surveillance footage from hidden cameras Rick had installed, time-stamped recordings of whispered threats, photographs of her isolation, screenshots of text messages exchanged between Rick and Corey, coordinating turns. Every entry in her diary matched perfectly to digital evidence. Forensic experts confirmed the authenticity. Handwriting analysts authenticated every journal page. Audio specialists matched Rick's voice to chilling confessions. "You should be grateful we adopted you. Otherwise, you'd be passed around like trash." Witnesses, housekeepers, delivery drivers, corroborated her story. Medical experts testified to trauma symptoms consistent with years of abuse. Every piece of evidence built a towering mountain of proof that Rick's smiling public image was a lie. A lie now crumbling under the weight of the very documents he never imagined would see the light of day. Corey Harrison's collapse on the stand, a family legacy, in ashes. The defense's last hope, Rick's son Corey Harrison, was shattered the moment he opened his mouth on the witness stand. Dressed in a light gray suit, hollow-eyed and shaking, Corey tried desperately to deny the allegations. But confronted with text messages reading "Your turn tonight," and a secretly recorded audio of him saying, "Maybe I need to teach her another lesson," his composure collapsed. Under relentless cross-examination, Corey's contradictions, anger, and thinly veiled fear betrayed him. A confiscated diary from Corey's home, authenticated by experts, contained a line that obliterated any remaining doubt. "Sometimes I think it's gone too far, but now I'm afraid she'll talk." By the time Corey left the stand, the defense was in ruins. Corey didn't exonerate his father, he buried him deeper. And the jury, the public, and even former Pawn Stars fans were left reeling as the Harrison family brand, once a beacon of American nostalgia, lay in ashes. Fallout TV shows canceled, merch pulled, and the pawn shop shuttered. The aftershocks of the courtroom bombshell spread like wildfire. Within hours, the History Channel suspended all broadcasts of Pawn Stars, streaming services yanked every episode offline, and major retailers pulled Harrison-branded merchandise from shelves. TripAdvisor ratings for the gold and silver pawn shop tanked from nearly perfect to dismal. A location once celebrated as a tourist landmark now became a symbol of betrayal. Former employees began speaking out anonymously, revealing how Rick micromanaged every episode to present a fake family dynamic while hiding the real dysfunction. The brand was never real, it was theater. And now, the stage had burned down, leaving only smoke, ashes, and disgust in its wake. The nation confronts its blind faith in fame. The trial forced a painful national conversation.
How did we not see it? How did we so willingly believe in Rick Harrison's image, while ignoring the silent spaces where real truth hid? Experts, psychologists, and media critics argued that it wasn't just Rick's manipulation, it was our collective desire to believe in simple, feel-good heroes. Pawn Stars wasn't just TV, it was ritual, comfort, nostalgia, and when that comfort was shattered, many instinctively turned their anger on the victim rather than the perpetrator. The Rick Harrison scandal exposed a brutal reality. Fame often grants moral immunity, while victims, especially vulnerable ones, are forced to fight impossible battles to be heard. We didn't just fail to see the signs, we chose not to look. The final verdict, one voice stronger than an empire. As the trial drew to a close, the original charges of smuggling and money laundering had become a distant memory. What remained was the courage of one woman who refused to die in silence. Her final words, "I refuse to die in silence." Her final words, "I refuse to die in silence. And today I did not," echoed across social media, newsrooms, and courtrooms alike. Rick Harrison's career wasn't ended by a sentence, it ended by the silence of a public that once adored him now turning away in disgust. Yet the real victory wasn't about destroying Rick Harrison. It was about lifting the voice of someone he tried to erase. Her survival, her evidence, and her courage forced a nation to confront its blind worship of celebrity and demand a better, harder, more honest reckoning with the truth. The empire Rick built is gone, but a voice, once silenced, now lives louder than ever.